Hi, this is Survivor from Scrappy Mania, and this video is actually for Reisma, and I wrote it down because I didn't want, more likely I'm not pronouncing your YouTube channel name correctly, so it's mainly for her. She sent me an email via YouTube that she's not getting the same results as doilies when she uses her stamping gear. According to the email, she got the petal, and I believe she said she got the fossil leaves, and I think it's this one because I got most of them. And let me look and see. Oh, more likely it's this one. I think maybe it's this one that she got. She said she had the fossil leaves, so it's this one. And the petals. So I'm gonna kind of show you how to see if I can get a doily out of a petal. So of all these petals, or all these stamps, these will more likely be nice little doilies. So I'm gonna try using this one, and then I'm gonna use my paddle. And the first thing you want to do is kind of center it. So I want the outside of, I want this to be the outside of my doily. And I want this to be the inside. Oops. I had it backwards. There. So you need to kind of addition it first, because I wanted to kind of have this to be the outside, so then I can cut my doily out. So, and you center it. So I have the center point, as you can see there, the center point goes on the center here, and then the center point is up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some ink. I'll use some distressing ink. Sorry, I didn't have my ink available. So the first thing you're going to do is going to stamp it real good. And I stamp it off the page, so that way I can just make sure you season your stamp, because this is the first time I'm using this stamp. So now I'm going to go ahead and see there's little markings on your gear. So you can see every other, there's a marking, so I'm going to go every other. Put in the center. Make sure I have enough space to go around. Because one thing, as you stamp, you want to kind of turn the paper. You don't want to ever kind of twist your arm in a awkward position to stamp. You want to turn your paper, so that's why I want to make sure that I have enough space to turn my paper. Okay, so I want this to be the outside of my doily, so that's why I put it at the end point here. And actually every 3, so you're gonna do it every 3. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And see, I'm starting to have an awkward position. So I'm going to turn my paper. I'm going to turn my paper without lifting up the gear. So that's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Every other. 1, 2, 3. Here. Next point will be 1, 2, and it'll be right there. 3. 1, 2, 3. And the last piece will be right there. 2, 3. Okay, so that looks like a doily. Now the middle part, what you can do is you can use, let's say, a smaller stamp, and you can stamp in there. So let's see the stamps that she has. We might want to try this one and kind of stamp, use that one. And again, you're going to center it. And then I'm going to addition it. So that's not a good position. So you probably want to center it at the end here. And then before you stamp, you kind of addition your stamp to make sure is where you want it. That might not be a good position either. So I might want to use, instead of using this part, I might use this part. And you keep additioning your stamp until you have how you want it to stamp. You have kind of put it in that location that you really, that will look good. So I think it needs to go a little more in. Okay. And I think that's going to work. So stamp. I'm going to put some ink on my stamp, holding this down, and I'm going to press down here. Now I'm going to go across. Actually, let me go across here. Okay. Turning it around. Okay, so now I have a center point. You can cut it out, and it does look like a little doily. You can even make another smaller one, and you can layer it on top of that one to look more like a doily kind of flower. So the next one I'm going to try out is these fossils. Let me get, let's look at this one. So let's work on this one. And again, I want to put it in the center of my paddle. I don't like that. And I want this to be on the outside like I did there. I'm going to put, now this time I'm going to go ahead and use, I decided to use that. So let's see. And I actually want to bring it in. So I want to really put it right against here. And this in the middle. And I want to audition just to see how it's going to look. Yep, that's going to work very well. So the reason why I put it real close to the edge here, because I want it to be very close to my edge on this, whatever this is called. Not sure, this gear. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This is a new stamp, so you're going to stamp it and stamp off just to season it. Now, I'm going to ink it well. And for this one, I'm going to go every one. I'm not going to skip anything. I'm just going to go under every gear. Okay. I'm going to turn my paper. Make sure you're not moving your gear. Do not move your gear, but your paper. And I'm stamping on every gear. I'm not skipping any gears. Okay, now my hand is starting to get awkward. So I'm going to turn around my paper. Okay, so now that really looks like a doily, so it looks very nice. Okay, so the trick for this is that you really, before you stamp down on your paper, you kind of audition the stamp and kind of start thinking which point do you want the point to be out in the outer edge of your doily. So if that's the case, so when you stamp it, and you want your point to be in the outside of your doily, so you make sure the point is out here. Okay? If you want to put a little nice little center, so let's say I want to just make a nice little center on here, then I make sure that I kind of audition the stamp before I stamp it, and keep playing with the position of the stamp. And let's say I want it a little more. Play with the position and see, now I think I like the position that I have it. And then I can stamp in the middle. Okay, so there, I created a little center. And it wasn't, you have to make sure that it's centered, and that way it would have been a little better. It's kind of a little off-center, but still, it kind of looks good. So, I hope this was instructional. I hope you kind of got some ideas on how to do your stamping with the leaves, the fossil leaf, and with the flower leaf. And thank you for watching. Bye. Okay, one thing I want to show you what else to use, the petal. So you do have the petal stamp. So I want to show you how you can create a flower with this petal. And I'm also going to use embossing powder. I mean, it makes a gorgeous flower. So what you need to do is, you just need to stamp about 6, let me stamp 8 petals. So you're going to stamp 8 petals. About 5, 6, 7, 8, and another one for good measure, just in case. Then you're going to take your embossing ink. Open this up, and I'm going to use red, and then put some embossing ink on your flowers here. And it needs a little more here. Just make sure you coat it real good with your embossing ink. Okay, it still needs a little more. Just want to make sure it gets a real vibrant color. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this back in my jar. Then you're going to take your petals And you're gonna heat emboss it. Now I like to start heating embossing from the bottom of my paper, so that way I don't blow off the powder. Okay, once you have it all heat embossed, then you're gonna cut them out. Okay, now that you have all your petals cut, then you're gonna take a small little circle, and if you have a hole punch, you can do that too. Actually, let me make a bigger circle. And then I'm going to put some glue dot on there. Okay. I'm going to put a glue dot on my circle. And then you're going to take your petals and just put it around the glue dot here. So there you have a flower. And then to put something in the middle there, you can take a little charm like what I have here. And even though it does have adhesive, I'm going to go ahead and use more adhesive, more glue. And then I can put a nice little rhinestone. So there you have it. So there's your little flower. So you can also use it without, so your petal punch is perfect to make flowers, and you don't have to use, without having to use the gears. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and come back to see me for some more. Thank you. Bye.